Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This video is our reaction to the Vikings Season 6 mid-season finale, Episode 10. What was that?
That was crazy. It was not what I was expecting.
I did not expect the most intense conversation between two people on the beach since Reddington was talking to Katarina in the Blacklist.
I had been waiting all week for it. I knew that there was going to be this conversation. I didn't know how it was going to play out, and I have some theories because I've seen a lot of people are kind of confused. We were left kind of being like, what just happened? But, we've got some theories.
And I think that's kind of what makes this episode really, really good. I think there's not everything is kind of just like etched in stone in terms of Viking history, and so I think that's allowing Michael Hurst to just sort of look at history books and then just say, screw it, and write that on the wall.
Yeah, because all that's kind of sort of known about Bjorn in history is some people theorize that he went on to live a long life and just kind of died of sickness or old age or whatever, but nobody actually really knows.
Yeah, so we're going to try to break everything down in this video for you, but before we do, if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We will have a preview coming up with some expectations for the final 10 episodes, which, knowing history, they're probably going to make us, wait 5 years in order to see.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I think the biggest top story here is Bjorn actually really dead, or is this just sorta dead?
Sorta dead,
yeah.
I'm not convinced that he's dead at this point. I know he looks really dead, but I've just seen so many shows now where if I'm not seeing a body going in the ground, then there's a chance that they're not dead. And because this episode wasn't completely linear and there were a lot of sort of timelines that were going on at the same time, some of this stuff, my theory is that some of this stuff was going on in Bjorn's head. That the name of this episode was Best Laid Plans.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, the Best Laid Plans.
The Best Laid Plans. So that conversation that Bjorn was having on the beach with Ivar, where they were talking about their dad, and they were talking about how Ivar felt that the gods have abandoned Bjorn long ago and that there's no way that he can win. So having that conversation going on felt almost like that was just going on in Bjorn's head, where he was laying out plans for this battle and where things were going to go and where Ivar was going to be able to hit and what Ivar was going to hit. And we even saw him have that conversation with Harald where he said, I know my brother better than anybody here. I've fought him before. I know how this is going to go out. Unless you have a better plan. Yeah, I didn't think so. So a lot of this, I wonder if a lot of it is in his head, of it playing out of, if I do this, this will happen. If I do this, Ivar's going to climb a mountain. If I do this, whatever, and that all of his plans end up with him getting killed or stabbed by Ivar. That this is going to end badly no matter what.
I think that's almost the takeaway that I have from this, is that no matter how brilliant or strong or capable Bjorn may be, and I think he is a lot of those things, I think at the same time he's also being outmaneuvered, being outplanned, in some ways just outmuscled by what he is up against. And when it comes to just Bjorn's current survival odds, I noticed that when Catherine Winnick left Vikings, there was this whole publicity tour, and there wasn't really a lot of dancing around the question of whether or not she was dead. Granted, that happened via the basic fever dreams that were very clearly her being murdered, and I don't think there was any doubt there whatsoever.
Yeah.
But here, it seems like Alexander Ludwig did something with TV Guide, and he didn't confirm or deny anything, and I like to think that networks have some element of soul, and if it was just that Bjorn is dead right now, they wouldn't be tormenting us for the next however long.
Yeah, and with a character like Bjorn, who's been part of the show for forever, since he was a little kid, we've seen
Yeah.
Bjorn grow up throughout this whole series. I just can't see them doing this character like that, where they would kill him and then there would be nothing about it.
Yeah.
Not a whisper of like, hey guys, it was so great to be part of this show for so long. I loved working with the cast. Like, usually when people have left the show, there is something. And I just can't really see that it would just kind of be like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my heart, I just feel like this is not the very end. He may be dying, and I believe that he's not in good shape, and that might be happening, but I just kind of feel like this isn't it.
What if, and this is a big what if Vikings spent all of this money on this elaborate fight scene, and the fight scene was actually the vision that was going on, and we don't actually have an accurate depiction of what happened at all? I mean, I didn't think that a historical epic would start going the way of Mr. Robot with unreliable narrators, but it kind of feels like there is some element of that going on. I mean, I want to try to be like you, though, and take the fight scene at some relative face value and say, okay, well, Bjorn's obviously in incredibly bad shape. I think King Harald obviously not doing great either.
No, King Harald not doing great, but at this point, is anybody caring about that? He didn't have a great outing tonight. Here. He's doing things like he's always been so jealous of Bjorn. And now is like, oh, now Bjorn has 2 wives, and I'm just gonna take this wife for myself and do what I want. Like, even just that scene with him sitting in bed by himself after what happened with Ingrid, that you could just see that Harald knew he was just defeated by Bjorn, that no matter what he's done, he wanted to be king of all Norway. He's a king of all Norway, and he still can't best Bjorn. He just can't do it. It is not there. It was a pretty sad, powerful, awful moment for him. But at the same time, meh, Harald... You just went down a real dark path that nobody's having. So watching you dying on the beach and then seeing somebody just snatch your crown couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, Harald.
Yeah, way to go out in like the most horrible way possible. No, there aren't going to be many people attending King Harold's funeral after this if he's really gone. Let's just say that.
Yeah, so we've got 2 people, main characters, been around a long time, that are both up in the air, and that's what's kind of interesting is seeing online. Everyone's really wondering about Bjorn, but nobody's really wondering what's happening with Harald. Harold's been left for dead. He told people to just go and leave him, and he is dying on that beach.
Well, let's do just a contrast here. Here is with Bjorn, there's a lot of please don't go. With Harald, there's just a bye Felicia sort of thing, and I think we'll all be fine if King Harald does not surface again.
It's true. I mean, King Harald has been a pretty good foil for Bjorn for a long time, and he has been for a lot of people for a long time, but it seems that maybe the Harald story is getting wrapped up at this point.
Yeah, and like you said, couldn't have happened to such a lovely human being as King Harald, who, is the worst.
Yeah.
And this is a show with Oleg on it, so that is not something you say lightly.
And Ivar.
Yeah, let's not
hasn't
forget about
been
Ivar.
all that great either.
Well, can we just, regardless of if it's real or not, can we just come to some sort of possible consensus here that the beach conversation is maybe a top 5 Viking scene?
Yeah, it is. I had been waiting a really long time to see these 2 have any kind of conversation. They have been at odds for years. This has been going on forever. So, I mean, I was really hoping that this was something that actually was going to happen, but the more that this episode played out, it feels like something that was going on in Bjorn's head, and he was trying to lay out his plans, and sort of Ivar in his head was basically like, it doesn't matter what you do. It is not going to work out for you. But seeing the 2 of them sitting on the beach, these 2 characters, these 2 actors, this performance was incredible. It was everything that I had hoped that it was going to be.
Yeah, it was so good. And I think what I really love about it is Ragnar's been dead a long time. on this show.
Yes, he has.
And yet it all feels like it kind of all comes back to Ragnar in some sort of way.
Yeah, I think that conversation was also really important, whether it was in Bjorn's head or it was really happening, when Bjorn was still trying to kind of be like, oh, well, when you were going to go on that adventure with Dad, he came to me first. And then he went to, Ube, and then he went to Visick, and then he went to, he went to everybody but you. Then he came to you. And it was cool to see Ivar basically be like, yeah, and he knew that you guys would all say no because I was the one. He just has such confidence in what his father told him all these years ago when they were together, that he was special, that there was something about him that was better than all the rest, that he was smarter than everyone, that there was something about him. And he has held on to that forever. And even if this is in Bjorn's head and he's sort of like trying to figure it out, it's there too.
Ivar is such a prick in a lot of ways. Like, that's really, Ivar is like that guy who you go to the party and he's like cheating at all the board games and he's like eating all the snacks and then blaming it on somebody else. And yet he's such a compelling prick. It's like, there's a part of me that hates that I enjoy watching Ivar as much as I do.
Yeah, and this season especially, I mean, we've seen a lot of changes in Ivar. We've been sort of led along to be angry at Ivar a lot. He has done a lot of terrible things. He has been very ruthless. Even when he was a child, he axed somebody in the head. Like, he's always been this angry guy who has not been able to figure out how to deal with his anger and what's been going on. But this particular season, when he met Oleg, everything changed. I mean, it's like he saw himself in him and was just kind of took a step back to be like, is this what I'm like? Is this what people think of me? And then seeing the people around him and his wife that looks exactly like Ivar's ex-wife or old wife or now gone wife.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see how he's changed. Even tonight, we saw that moment where Oleg's wife came to him and was pretending to be his wife that has passed away. And he took that moment and he took her hair off and covered her up. It wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
At all. If this was Ivar years back, that never would have happened. But he's changed. And I'm not saying that he's like, oh, he's a good guy now, we're all good with Ivar, but things have changed in him.
He's not the same prick that he once was. I will give him that much credit. He's went on a little bit of a journey.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that he's able to carry on this conversation, imaginary or not, with Bjorn, I think it speaks somewhat to how he has evolved and how these two can communicate now, even if it is sort of telling Bjorn, guess what? No matter whatever you do, you're never going to be Ragnar. It's never going to work out for you.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Do you think Bjorn's actually dead?
I think he's not, mostly just because they're leaving this on such a weird note with all the interviews that are out there and all of the nothing maybe exactly as you saw it. I don't necessarily think Bjorn's going to be alive in the series finale, but I think we're going to have some more story left to tell with Bjorn. I think the big question is just, what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
How is that going to manifest itself? I mean, if nothing else, we need somebody to have some scenes with Gunhild moving forward after just the supreme act of ferocity on her part in this episode.
Yeah, losing their son, and she is such a great actress. She's just been such a stoic character that doesn't show a lot of emotion, who is so strong all the time ever since we've met her. So to see that scene with her burying her son and putting the rocks down, just completely breaking down, was something that I never thought I would ever see with her. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen with her. I just never thought I'd actually get to see it. So very, very powerful stuff with that.
Yeah, and you're just like juxtaposing this devastation with then also now you also have to be a part of battle. Now you have to sort of take on this as well.
Which is then feels back to being part of Gunhild, who is a warrior, who is strong, who's, I'm not going to let my baby not be Norwegian. Like, this is how it has to be, sort of thing. So
it was powerful. There was so much powerful stuff within this episode, and we're left with so many questions. I mean, not just is Bjorn dead, but it's also,
is Harald dead?
Is Harald dead? Is the Viking culture as we know it dead?
Yeah, what are we moving into?
Yeah, where does the show go from here? I mean, I think if nothing else, despite whatever confusion might be there about interpretation, about the timeline, I think we can all say this is an incredible way to close out the first half of season 6.
Yeah, I agree.
And it leaves us thinking and discussing about things I feel like in a way most historical shows would not. And I think there's just this one little corner of Michael Hurst's brain where he's like devilishly enjoying the fact that not all of this is set in stone, so he can just screw around with some stuff.
That's right.
And make people wonder where they're going.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get the reactions and thoughts of everybody out there to what is such a crazy mid-season finale. If you did like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.